So please join me in welcoming Charmian Love.
Now, the system that we're interested in at Volans is what we call breakthrough capitalism. Capitalism is the system under which a lot of the activity that runs our economy actually sits on top of. So we need to find a way to figure out how to make it fit for purpose when we have an increasing population hurtling towards 9 billion people in 2050, as well as these really tight planetary boundaries that we're already running up against. So unreasonableness, breakthrough, systems change. I mean, you couldn't have picked a range of better words for the things that I like to talk about. When we talk about systems change at Volans, we use the sports analogy because we say it is about changing the rules of the game at the very sort of high level. And whether that is capitalism and the valuation models we use in the system, how pension funds operate, how we buy and sell products, the conversation about sustainable growth and the tension of scale versus sustainability is interesting. Ultimately, what we are all aiming for, and when we talk about systems change, is how do we change these rules? When 2050 hits, which is the year, we read in all the materials around 9 billion people, peak oil, peak water, peak fish, it doesn't sound like a really particularly happy place to be. That's when my son is going to be about the same age as I am right now, and I certainly don't feel very old. So that, to me, is the impetus that we need to be finding a way to get ourselves on this breakthrough trajectory. We need to find a way of changing the systems. Make no mistake, Nike, Puma, Adidas, these guys are hyper competitive with one another. So getting all of them into a room to work together, to me, is a really good example of overcoming competitive barriers in order to work together at a market level to change a system. So Jochen Zeitz, the CEO of Puma, some of you might know, launched, I guess it was a year and a half ago now, the first ever EP&L, Environmental Profit and Loss Statement. But rather than having it just sit within Puma, he wants to see it adopted by a range of other companies, actually every company ideally. And so the B team is being set up as a forum, a venue, a challenge fund to find ways to enable some of those systems changing tools to actually permeate much more through the system. And again, this is something that we've also heard is the power of recognizing that we are human and we should be bringing our personal stories to the table. That's the fuel that the B team is looking for. My 3 takeaways. The first is the importance of mapping. When we're talking about system level challenges, maps can help us see the landscape and find places of leverage. But what I would challenge you all to do, if you are doing this mapping, is to try doing it without putting you or your organization at the center. When you do that, you automatically become the center force and you're mapping things around what are the things important to you. Put your organization on the far left and then see if you can trace out where and how your organization interconnects with other organizations on an issue basis or a thematic basis. Second, this is more for people that are working within big organizations, is look for the entrepreneurs, look for the entrepreneurs within your organization that can make things happen, or the systempreneurs in that case, which are people that have the ability to work across the system. I have a hunch that there's quite a few of them in this room here today. And the final thing, the coalition of the willing. So much of this has to be about things that we genuinely want to see happen. This stuff is risky, this stuff is unreasonable, but we all have to do it if we want to create a world where our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren have a place to have the same quality of life that we have today.
Thank you.